Before Malala and Amanda Gorman, there were many young women you may not have heard of who helped spark America's most transformative social movements throughout history. Several of their stories are shared in the new book, Young and Restless: The Girls Who Sparked America's Revolutions.
And author Maddie Kahn joins us live with more. Good morning.
Hi there.
Oh, we appreciate you joining us. So tell us about this book and your inspiration for writing it.
Well, I got my career started in women's magazines, so I had a lot of exposure to incredible women and young women. And I actually at first thought that I would write this book about some of the people that you mentioned, Malala and Amanda Gorman, and keep it focused only sort of in the present contemporary era. But the more research I did, the more I came to see that this is actually an incredibly old story, that America's founding is based on the work of teenage girls, and that teenage girls have contributed, in fact, to almost every major social movement that has made this country what it is. So it became a much bigger project, a little bit more daunting. But yeah, that's sort of how it came to be.
So we're hoping, oh, sorry, Dan.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, looking at the list of some of the names that are featured here, I have to be honest that I didn't recognize a lot of them. So I'd like to maybe take some time and go through just a couple of the young women that you feature here, starting with Anna Elizabeth Dickinson. Tell us about her.
Yeah, so Anna Elizabeth Dickinson, credit to the wonderful academics who helped me figure out what this book would be exactly about. There's nothing better than calling up people whose job it is to kind of parse these moments of American history and ask them, like, who's the most underrated girl you've ever studied? And a wonderful professor out of Connecticut actually introduced me to Anna Elizabeth Dickinson, and she said, surely you're going to write about her. And actually, like you, I also hadn't heard of her, and I got a great education. But the story of Anna Elizabeth Dickinson is actually the story of a young woman, teenager at the time, born in Philadelphia to Quaker abolitionist parents, who became one of the most famous public speakers on abolition and the Civil War in that era, advocating for abolition up and down the coast of, up and down the Northeast, advocating for Republican politicians, of course, who were running on a platform of ending slavery. She became, in fact, the first woman ever to address the House of Representatives, which I just thought was a wild distinction for, at that time, a very, very young woman. And she made her career as a public speaker, and I think probably few people know who she is now, but fewer people even know what happened to her next, which is she had this illustrious professional life, and then she got older and she really struggled to find her footing as a professional woman, having had this extraordinary success as a young girl.
Let's keep getting an education this morning. How about Mabel Ping Hua Lee? I know you focus on her in the book as well.
Yes, she's one of my favorites. I try not to play favorites with the book, but I do love her story. And she was a speaker also, an advocate for suffrage, a Chinese immigrant at a time when New York and the rest of the country had very few because of pretty draconian anti-Chinese immigration policies. She came to the U.S. as a young child and was, by all accounts, a stellar student, went to an incredible high school in New York, and then went to Barnard, where she was one of very few Chinese students in attendance, and became actually one of the first women, and certainly the first Chinese women, to earn a PhD from Columbia, which she got in economics. As a humanities person myself, I find that particular detail especially impressive. And she was, leading marches up Fifth Avenue on behalf of getting out conversation about the women's vote. And she did that work and became known for her speeches about suffrage, even though at the time that she was calling for the women's vote, she herself wouldn't have been eligible to vote as an immigrant.
Wow.
Someone else you feature, Claudette Colvin. Tell us about her.
Yeah, okay, we're running through all the good ones. Claudette is known now, I guess, with a distinction that I take a little bit of issue with, as the young woman who took her seat on segregated Montgomery bus 9 months before Rosa Parks did. When people talk about her, they sometimes say, Rosa Parks before Rosa Parks, because she had done this extraordinary thing and refused to give up her seat on a segregated bus in Alabama before Rosa Parks did that. In fact, what I learned in researching and writing the book is that she and Rosa Parks were incredibly close. She considered Rosa Parks a mentor. Rosa Parks was one of the people who encouraged Claudette's activism. I think it speaks to the ties between generations. The last thing I want to do is say teenage girls are the only people who are equipped to spark revolution. And they remained close for a long time. She was also, I think, sadly sort of cast aside by the movement because she didn't necessarily fit the part of an ideal rabble-rouser. But she became a plaintiff in Browder v. Gale, which is actually the case that ruled segregation on buses was unconstitutional. So she continued to have an impact.
There are just so many fascinating stories on this list. We kind of jump forward then, and you've got current teen activists like Greta Thunberg. You go through her story. You want to just share a little bit about her for anybody who may not know her?
Yes, she's probably the best known in the book,
Right.
and one of the few international examples that I brought in because I think she's had such a profound impact on American politics. Of course, she's a teenager who started striking to draw attention to climate change and human-caused climate change in her native Sweden, and she has become a global advocate for climate change and action on climate change. One of the things I think she does so well in her activism, which is consistent with so many girls who are mentioned in the book, is that she really uses her childhood and her, adolescence as one of her kind of weapons on the global stage to say, this isn't how I want to be spending my time. This is not how a child should have to spend their childhood, but because of your inaction, I'm forced into this position. And I think that kind of argument has been such a potent force for girls, something that they can uniquely do that adults obviously can't, to call for activism and change.
Again, the book is called Young and Restless, The Girls Who Sparked America's Revolution. Author Maddie Kahn. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
There's her social media handles if you want to give her a follow.